Hi, welcome to the Shepherd's Rest Doc Talk. This is episode 179A.
I'm Cam and this is Julie. Today's Torah portion, we are looking at Exodus 30, verse 11 to the end of chapter 34.
And if you want to check out some previous years, we have 34 A and B, 87 A and B, and 135.
Yes.
Just A. Just 135.
And what's really neat is Julie has gone on to our YouTube channel, and you can go into the playlist and you can just click it, the name of this week's Torah portion, click it, and it'll have them all right in this neat little package.
Yeah.
So, awesome. All right, so let's jump into this week and look at a few things. I wanted to start with the beginning, and that is in chapter 30, verse 11. It says, and YHVH spoke to Moshe, or the Lord spoke to Moses. And this is YHVH, not Elohim. And if you go back and look at last week started, chapter 25, with, and YHVH spoke to Moses, and then it just goes through the whole Torah portion. There's not another, and Moses, the Lord spoke to Moses. It's all one unit. But this week we have several, and YHVH spoke to Moses, kind of breaking it up topic by topic, a whole lot of them. Now, what I thought was interesting, I started looking back and wanted to see how often that we had YHVH speaking to, and then fill in the blank who, right?
Okay.
Well, actually, now I am not a Hebrew scholar at all. I'd like to put that out there.
What?
What? Yes. I do know that in this phrase, the word for speak to is debar, which means to, well, it has several meanings. It can mean to teach, to speak to tell, to answer. And we also have another word, that which is amer. And it is usually, the English word is said, so the Lord said, used with that one. But that one means to speak, to command, to answer, that type of communication. So there's a little bit of a difference. Anyway, when you look back at where this spoke to use in Debar, where the Lord's speaking directly to them, we see it with Noah, but it's Elohim who spoke, not
YHVH. Okay.
Also with not Moses, with Aaron. Oh my gosh, the names are killing me. Abraham in chapter 17. Again, it is Elohim. Now, the other references that we see where the Lord YHVH, it's not a direct, we never hear the direct conversation. We see where Abraham talks about when YHVH spoke to him, or Hagar when YHVH spoke to her.
But we don't see
we
the
don't
direct.
see that, right. So it's not where, and YHVH spoke to blank until Moses. And that's in, the first time we really see that phrase is in Exodus 6:10. Obviously, it's with the plagues, right? We're getting started. And the Lord and YHVH spoke to Moses. Remember, the idea is so that the world will know, Israel will know who YHVH is, the provider,
And the
merciful one, will know who he is. And I think this week is a fantastic example of who the merciful one is. So I just wanted to bring that up. It's just something neat to look at as you start to see that the Lord is starting all these things, these new topics with, and YHVH spoke to Moses. Because again, it's to teach, and that's what Moses is going to do.
You know, the pattern for this, in Genesis, you have Elohim create Elohim, Elohim, Elohim. Then when it comes to his firstborn, Adam, you have YHVH.
Yeah.
And then you have, starting with Noah, the big picture, Elohim, Elohim, Elohim. Like you said, now we have Moses, and it's YHVH.
Yes.
Like dealing with his firstborn.
Yes.
That he's going to bring out of Egypt.
Yeah, I like that a lot because this is an example of Messiah.
Yes.
And remember in chapter, I think it's 33:11, it says that the Lord speaks face to face to Moses. Well, he also speaks face to face to Messiah, right?
Right.
So what a great example to see that these little hints of how he's speaking to Moses is exactly how he's going to speak to his son.
Right.
So again, we see this word hooking with the word teach. And we saw in Exodus 24, I think it's 12, that the Lord is telling him that he's going to come up to the mountain. He's going to give him the command, the Torah, the instructions, so that he being Moses, can teach it to the people, right? Mm-hmm. And then we see again this week the whole reason for him getting them, the commandments, well, not the whole reason, but yes, the idea is to bring them and teach them to the people.
Right.
So again, I just want to show that link where the Lord is speaking to him, that there is a purpose of speaking directly to him, because everything he's speaking to him, that is to Moses, Moses is to speak to the people. Messiah also is that intermediate, the one who goes directly.
Yeah.
Right.
He's like the intercessor.
Yeah.
He's like the one in the middle, talking to the Lord, then talking to us. Just like Messiah. Yeah.
Because remember, we don't do well directly in front of the consuming fire.
That's right.
But Messiah does. So we can go in with him. All right. Another thing I wanted to look at was, there's these neat little Hebraic hints, and that's in chapter 34. 34 verse 7 and 34 verse 14. Now, I cannot really tell you all the intricate ideas with this, but I think there's a lot more to it. In chapter, like I said, 34 verse 7, it starts with, watching over the loving committed for thousands, forgiving crookedness and transgression and sin, but by no means leaving unpunished, visiting the crookedness of the fathers upon the children and the children's children to the third and fourth generation. Okay, that word for watching, or it can be keeping, it's Natzer. Isn't that funny, Natzer?
Mm-hmm.
It's a character in our book.
Yeah.
Anyway, and the first letter, which is the noon, okay, is enlarged.
Okay.
So it's just kind of this Hebraic little clue.
Anomaly.
Yes. All right, so there's this large one. When we go down to verse 14, we see it. In verse 14 it says, for you do not bow yourself to another mighty one. And the word another there has a large resh at the end of the word. So at Natzer, the beginning, the first letter is large, and at this one, don't have another, the end is large, kind of like the beginning and end, okay?
Yeah, bookends.
So I thought, well, I wonder what's in between those that's maybe marking it.
Mm-hmm.
Now remember, chapter 34 is where we have the renewing of the covenant, where Moses goes up and the Lord is saying, with you bringing the tablets, I will write. Together we will be able to represent this to the people of Israel. And all the people who had sinned are dead, right? Those 3,000 who were really involved, they're dead. So this is being presented to a nation who has the ability to all be faithful, because the troubled ones have been removed. Well, the first group of troubled, because we have trouble throughout the whole rest of the thing. But
at least the ones that are remaining didn't stumble over this one.
Yes, right. Yes, thank you. So he's going to be presenting this. So as I looked, I thought, it's funny. The beginning of this one is how the Lord is going to be watching over the loving, committed ones. Mm-hmm. Those who say, yes, I'm going to be involved. And it ends with, have no other.
Okay.
And then in the middle, it's basically where Moses is saying, we're so sorry, we want to be your people. And it in verse 34:10 says, and he, the Lord, said, see, I am making a covenant before all your people. I am going to do wonders such as have not been seen or done in the earth, nor in any nation. And all the people among whom you are shall see the work of Yahweh. For I am doing with you awesome. What is awesome? Which makes me think of Matthew 5:16. I know that. It's like, I don't know. I don't talk like that, obviously. It makes me think of Matthew 5:16, which is right, glorify, praise and honor the Father which is in heaven, doing good deeds. Anyway, and I'm butchering that. The point is that your deeds, how you behave, draws people to look and glorify your God. Yes. That's my point. All right, that's kind of what's basically being said here, and the Lord's going to present wondrous things to happen among them. Now,
I have a question.
Put on hold, okay, and then put on hold the end part about the resh, because I want to say something. Go ahead.
I wanted to know I know resh, it's kind of like head.
It's a head.
And noon is what?
The fish.
Fish.
A fish. Yeah.
I don't know. It seems like the noon and the resh seem like a pattern to me because noon means fish.
Right.
And resh means head.
And I think
we know
noon can also mean like life or something like that. I'm trying to remember how that works.
Okay, so those who have eternal life.
Yeah, the ones who are the committed ones.
The committed ones. Is going to end with the head, the Messiah.
Yeah.
You know.
Because they don't
all
have
the
another.
way to the end. Yeah. It seems to be, you said that in there they were saying, I'm so sorry, we're going to follow you. There's that repentance.
Yes.
So, you know, like the first set of tablets was like Adam. He ruined it.
Right.
You know, this second one is for all those who are committed.
Yes.
And it's going to end with Messiah. He's going to finish it. He's the finisher.
Right. And so what I was like, hold on, because that goes right into what I was saying, hold on, was that awesomeness. I started thinking, could that awesomeness be, it is in this part, the whole point about Messiah, Logos, coming into a human body? Because what they didn't understand in 32 was that Yahweh was going to come off the mountain and dwell in the tabernacle, because they didn't know about the tabernacle yet.
Right.
I mean, the thought that he's really going to come and dwell in that thing was mind-blowing. No, God actually dwelled with them. So now you have Messiah. Again, why was Messiah so difficult, Jesus so difficult to understand as he's the living word? Because the thought that the heavenly would literally come down and live inside of a human body was crazy. It's the most awesome, wondrous thing done again in his people. So yes, I would completely go with a sign of the future events, because I just see this as a hint. And then it goes back to the don't have another. Because see, without Messiah, without following Yahweh, we have no head.
Yeah.
And if he's the head and we're the body, we can't function without a head. So we cannot have another, and we can't belong to the body. And that's what this whole thing is about. How, all right, you're going to come in, you're going to guard. This is how you're going to do it. I've given you another set of the covenant. I've shown you who I am, right? Because that's what's happening in 34, 6 through 8. Moses asked to see the Lord, and the Lord's like, well, I'm going to tell you, you're going to have to hear it. Which, how's he been speaking to Moses this time? He's been speaking to him, not showing him. I mean, he showed him, but it's all been through that speaking in order to teach.
Right.
So Moses is learning this, again, so he can teach. Remember Messiah in Isaiah 2, right? He's what? He's going to teach, and we're going to say, let's go up to the mountain so that Messiah can teach us his way. It's exactly what he's going to be doing. So again, Moses is the prototype. But moving just a little bit further into 34, once we have this commitment, where the Lord's saying, okay, I'm going to make this commitment now. We're covenant, not commitment, covenant. We're doing this. He goes into talking about the Sabbaths. Now, if you remember at the beginning of this week's Torah portion, in chapter 31, he discusses, or is it 30? No, it's 31, where he talks about the Sabbaths. Now, what's interesting is this is after chapter 25, obviously, all the way to 31, talking about everything that has to do with the tabernacle. And now, hey, how about the Sabbaths? The setting apart. Because you realize without the Sabbath, the tabernacle's pretty much useless for us. Because that's telling us when we can draw near and how to draw near properly, how to have that relationship. It's not a guessing game. So that is critical. That's a critical element, and that's why it's presented at the end of everything for the tabernacle. Well, here, right after we have the new idea of recommitting or renewing covenant, right, with the people, he goes right into guard my commandments. Hello, Exodus 20, right, and my Sabbaths. And what I find interesting is the way he mixes it up. Like, he doesn't go through, hey, there's Passover and unleavened and Shavuot and, B'moon, like Leviticus 23, puts it all in order. That's not how he does it. He kind of mixes it up. He goes in verse 34:17, and he says, do not make any golden or molten image or mighty one to yourselves. Okay, that was the problem we just had in 32, right? So he's like, don't do that. And then from there, he goes straight into guard the festival of matzah. What's interesting is we so often, as believers coming in, get confused between Passover and Feast of Unleavened Bread. We want to go, why keep Passover, thinking that's the giving of the lamb and then that's it. But the truth is, he didn't say anything in here about don't. His first thing he says is matzah.
Matzah.
Feast of Unleavened Bread. Because that's commemorating how he provided for them and brought them out. Then after that, it goes on about how you're going to set your firstborn apart. Okay? Well, that's back in Exodus 13. And then it goes to, in verse 21, hey, 6 days you work. And he goes back through just what the actual weekly Sabbath looks like. Which earlier, we had him start with that one, right? Mm-hmm. And now he goes into, and let's not forget the Feast of Shavuot. Okay, that's what's happening right here. So now we have Shavuot, first fruits of the wheat, and then, hey, don't forget the ingathering, don't forget the 3 feasts. So he's making sure that they're going to be coming in because he didn't slam the door shut. He's keeping it open. So he's making sure that they're going to come in to interact with him. And then we see more instructions in 25 and further down. Again, all about drawing near in the tabernacle. So the thing I just wanted to really point out was in this renewed covenant, when he gets the tablets back, okay, it all centers around how we're going to still be able to draw near. And let's just remember this about the Sabbath. As we saw in, or we just read about those, he's going to keep those who are faithful, right? Mm-hmm. In chapter Exodus 31, I'm going to end on this. It says, verse 14, and you shall guard the Sabbath, for it is set apart or holy to you. Everyone who profanes it shall certainly be put to death. That everyone doesn't mean the world.
Right. And
to you is the one who says yes. So I put this out there. You know, we have a lot of people in the world who don't acknowledge Sabbath, and that's okay. That's not crime against the Lord. They're not saying yes to him.
Right.
So they're not responsible for keeping it.
Right.
And even believers who have come into this journey and are learning to learn, who have not said yes to understanding the Sabbath yet, that's fine. It's not a salvation issue. It's not a kick to the curb.
Right.
This is when you said yes to this component, yes to the engagement ring of I want to be that set apart, that much set apart for you as a bride. Then you go into a new category. There are different rules. You know, it's just like somebody in the military. I mean, someone in the military can't just walk off post.
Right.
They're in trouble. Right, but we can. We're like, sayonara, we're out of here, okay?
Right.
So different rules for according to what position we say yes to in life.
And I would say not only are there different rules, but there's added blessings. Because when we look at Isaiah 56, it talks about the Gentiles,
yes,
the foreigners who want to join themselves to the Lord, and it's all about keeping the Sabbath.
Yes.
That's like the prerequisite.
And that allows us to go in.
Right. If you keep the Sabbath, then they're allowed to come to the holy mountain, bring the sacrifices, do what, and that's futuristic. That hasn't happened yet.
Right.
That's a millennial promise for us who want to join ourselves to the covenant. And the covenant he's speaking of is this covenant.
Right.
Not some made up new covenant that we've come up with. I mean, if we look at Jeremiah 31:31, it's definitely the new covenant is with the house of Israel and the house of Judah. And we are grafted in.
Right.
Romans 11. I mean, it's no way around it.
Yep. Wow. Did you know all that was in this whole golden calf idea and building of the tabernacle?
Yeah.
It is. That's just it. It's a tapestry. The whole Word of God is a tapestry. And we just like to pull some strings to figure out how it all weaves together. So anyway, we thank you so much for joining us. We hope you have a fantastic week, and we'll see you on the flip side with Julie and Acts. Shalom.